the Alpina cars mostly came with a long-range fuel tank. And this was kind of a fussy affair that lived in the trunk. And basically it was an auxiliary tank, and it lived between the wheel wells. And it would be connected to the main tank. So you'd fill up the tank at this level, and it would slowly leak fuel into a tank that sat in the trunk. But as you can see, the fuel filler is not much higher than the tank. So they were a little bit fussy, and you even had to probably have the rear of the car a little bit higher than the front for it to actually work. For this car, it was taken out when the trunk floor was welded, and the strengthening plate for the differential. So you can see that the trunk's all been nicely finished here and nicely painted, and you can see where that plate is, and that displaced the fuel tank. And I did try to get the tank, another tank, and I had one go and found a steel tank that was from a B7 Turbo sedan, and then I found out that, and it also had the battery. It didn't span the full width of the wheel wells. There was a battery in one corner and then the fuel tank in the other, and so this car has always had the battery in the front. So I knew that tank was an Alpina tank, but I knew it wasn't correct for the vehicle. And then I got another one, which was an alloy tank. And then in the Alpina catalogs for the car, they show an aluminum gas tank, and it's not square. It actually flares out with little triangles added to the side of it. And so I got one of those, and then I found out that wasn't the right tank. And that there's another fellow in New Zealand who's got a terrific example of this car, and he wound up showing what his tank looked like. And it looked like for the 30 B7S Turbo Coupes anyway, at least going by his single example, and presumably that is correct. It looks correct, and that was basically just a square gas tank spanning the width of the rear arches, and then connected to the tank. But I give up on the tank. I've had it with the tank. I've already ordered 2 tanks, and it doesn't even, as far as I can read anyway, it doesn't even work very well. So I've dimensioned it, and I think what I'll do is I'll fab one up. It's just a square box, and the next owner can either just keep it on the shelf, or if they want to go through the trouble, they can install it. But I don't feel like fooling around with gas tanks anymore. Inside the car OCs, I mean, I just think they're a really splendid addition. So of course, you have knobs for everything. That tilts the top of the seat forward, and this tilts the bottom of the seat. No, actually, no, it doesn't. These 2 knobs, you can see it changing the angle of the upper bolster, and then I've got another couple knobs down there, and they change the angle of the lower bolster. And I've got a lever here. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but it changes the length of the cushion up front for your thigh support, and then the whole thing, the whole seat can rock back and forth. And I mean, just when you thought, what more can a seat do, then you've got these buttons there. So we've got one for heated seats, and then each seat has an air compressor in it, and that fills up 3 air bladders that live down there. And then the blue buttons then release the air in it. And the other button here is the electric backrest, which goes back and forth. So also, I guess since we're down there, you can see the Alpina adjustable boost, and the boost ranges from about 0.6 bar all the way up to about 0.9 bar. A bar is 14 psi, so you're looking at 8 or 9 psi, to 12 psi. It makes a pretty big difference. I do have a new Alpina wheel in the box, and I do have a new old stock Alpina shift knob, but I kind of like the patina of the wheel and the of this one. So I'll just include that with the car, and if somebody wants to put the new wheel and new shift knob on, they can. Otherwise, otherwise, I think I kind of like the patina of this one. Okay, so it's been, thanks for viewing. It's kind of a long video, a little bit jumbled up, but what you've got here is one of the most desirable 80s cars. You've got one of the rarest and most collectible BMWs. One of 30 of the B7S Turbo Coupes, one of one with this interior, the only one sold new into North America, the only one still in North America. If you're in North America, this is the only. I've never seen another one for sale. The Alpina register, or the Alpina archive, there's 10 cars listed in it of the 30. So it's an extraordinarily rare car, fast, desirable, collectible, and I'm going to sell it because I like the my voice is going. I like the projects. I don't really drive the cars that much, and I just got an Aston Martin 1959 DB24 Mark III, and it's in pieces and it needs lots of money, and basically I had to sell my roof turbo, and I've got to sell this to pay for the restoration. So this is I didn't scrimp on this car. I spent, it was $10,000 for the paint, and that's with me taking it apart and putting it back together again. All the trim was new, and I got it all at dealer cost. So there's I've spent just under $30,000 on the cosmetic restoration of the car. And if you look at this car now, and you look at the car when I started, I mean, you might think there's not that much difference in it, but trust me, when you get in there, you find stuff, and you know, it just shows you the difference between looking at a car in photos on the net and at 72 DPI, you can make some assumptions about the condition. And even when I got a close look at the car, you know, I thought it was pretty good. But then when you get in there, when you start taking it apart, you know, you find all kinds of things that need work, and that's money. So you can buy this car. I think I must have taken 200 photographs of it. I've done 5 videos of the car. I've got all the documentation. I've got everything on it. So I think that you can be pretty confident of what you're getting. If you want to talk about flaws, the only real one, the only thing that I wasn't really happy with was the dash, because the dash, this is a California car, and the dash had cracked, and my choices were take the dash out, send it to Just Dashes in the US, pay $1,500, which is fine, and then put the dash back in, and the whole process would have taken a few months. Or I could have it repaired, and repairing it, we have excellent guys here, and it was, you know, $400, and I thought, well, I'll try repairing it, not really to save any money, but because I didn't want to take the dash out too badly, because it's a real hassle, and it's hard to get it back in the same way. And so I just repaired it, but you can see that there's a little crack starting on the top of this binnacle, and you can see there's a little crack starting. So this dash will probably crack again. It's starting. So the fix, and I guess if I still have the car, what I'll do is I'll have to take the dash out and maybe do that next year, or just drive the car. I mean, you can't even see it from the driving position, and it's barely noticeable, and basically I think I only see it, but it is there, and if somebody buys the car, I want them to know that. And that's about it. The car is, like I said, I've got all the invoices and all the documentation. I didn't scrimp on it, and there's no rust in this body shell whatsoever. There's no rust underneath. It was basically always in California. It had the differential upgrade, or the strengthening plate, put in, so that problem is solved. The Pureberg injection system works perfectly. The car works properly. The adjustable boost works properly. It has all the power. It doesn't smoke. It doesn't use oil. It doesn't discolor the oil. It behaves properly. The gauges do what they're supposed to do. It doesn't overheat. The clutch as well was replaced in the 90s with less than 10,000 miles ago. So it's a good car. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that since this has already gone on for half an hour. Lawrence Romanosky, my 1982 Alpina B7S Turbo Coupe, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.